A very good evening to all of you and welcome to the news tonight. I'm Tracy Shilshi and in the next 30 minutes I'll be getting you the day's top stories. Let's start with the headlines. The Karnataka High Court acquits Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha in the disproportionate assets case. Supporters celebrate across the country. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari denies wrongdoing over a CAG report. Unrelenting opposition, though, demands his dismissal, forces Rajya Sabha to adjourn. Lok Sabha clears the black money bill, provides for penalty up to 120%, criminal prosecution for those who park black money abroad. Australia joins Britain in moving to tackle global companies that evade tax, 30 MNCs including Google and Apple on its list. Our top story, former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha has been acquitted in an 18-year-old disproportionate assets case. This after the Karnataka High Court overturned a trial court's judgment. Today's verdict paves the way for her to return to office, but she will have to contest elections within 6 months. Here are the details.
Chennai erupted in celebrations minutes after news arrived of former Chief Minister Jayalalitha's acquittal on Monday. In a judgment that took just minutes, the Karnataka High Court overruled the Bengaluru Special Court's verdict, sentencing her to 4 years jail for allegedly holding over 53 crore in accounted cash and property.
The learned judge sat in the court and pronounced a judgment that all the accused are acquitted and the appeals filed by them have been allowed and the prosecution case stand dismissed. Now, from this moment, there is no impediment for Madam Jayalalitha to assume her position, rightful position as a Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu.
In September last year, a Bangalore judge found Jayalalitha guilty of amassing assets disproportionate to her known sources of income in her first term as Chief Minister in the 90s. In addition to the jail term, he also fined the 66-year-old politician 100 crore rupees.
விடுதலை கட்சிக்கு கடவுள் கட்சி வெற்றி ஏழை ஒரு மக்களும் ஒவ்வொரு நாளும் தூங்குறது கிடையாது இன்னைக்கு மக்கள் நல்லா நிம்மதியா தூங்குவாங்க.
The judgment paves way for the former film star to return as Chief Minister after she wins a by-election within 6 months. On Monday, the judge acquitted her 3 associates and Sasikala, J. Elavarasi and V. N. Sudhakaran, setting off joyous scenes among supporters across the country.
Yes, it's a great verdict for Amma. It's a great verdict. She's a brave lady. She's a brave lady. She's a brave lady. Amma will never be defeated hereafter.
Jayalalitha spent 3 weeks in jail before she was granted bail by the Supreme Court. The top court asked her to warn her supporters to maintain law and order. They had set buses on fire and vandalized buildings to protest against her jailing. She was granted bail on 17th of October last year. The case against Jayalalitha was filed by BJP leader Subramaniam Swamy, who says he will appeal against her acquittal in the Supreme Court. That, however, will be at a later date. For now, Jayalalitha is free once again in a state where she has been Chief Minister for 4 terms. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
While Jaya supporters greeted the news with fireworks and celebrations, there were mixed reactions from others. Here are some of them.
If courts have acquitted her, I should congratulate Madam Jayalalitha, and I hope and feel that more and more transparency would come into future politics.
We ADMK cadres wholeheartedly welcomes the verdict from High Court of Bangalore, and after this verdict, immediately Amma will take the charge of CM as, in Tamil Nadu.
My request in this occasion, so immediately the prosecuting authority, the Karnataka government, may file a special petition before the Honorable Supreme Court and get stay of this acquittal order, because the special court already convicted. So this is my request. On what reason Justice Kumarasamy acquitted these persons?
Meanwhile, Rajya Sabha was adjourned for the day earlier today after continuous protests and uproar by the opposition demanding Union Minister Nitin Gadkari's immediate removal. Gadkari was named in a CAG report on Purti group of companies that his family has a stake in, but he has denied charges of corruption and claimed the CAG report was being misinterpreted for political reasons, also claiming that nowhere was he named as a wrongdoer.
Under fire from the opposition, Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari made a statement in the Rajya Sabha. He asserted that Purti Sakhar Karkhana Limited had not committed any misappropriation and the audit report alleges lapses in procedures followed by the Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency. Gadkari also said that he was the chairman of Purti Sakhar Karkhana Limited from 2000 to 2011 when he was neither an MP nor held any public office in the government.
कोई सब्सिडी हमको मिली नहीं है, हमने कोई गलत फायदा उठाया नहीं है, ये पूरी तरह से अब राजनीतिक प्रेरित से हो रहा है और इसलिए अगर ये आप तो मेरी बात को समझकर
Gadkari's assurance failed to pacify the Congress members who trooped into the well, forcing 10 minutes adjournment.
House is adjourned for 10 minutes.
When the House reassembled, leader of opposition Ghulam Nabi Azad demanded the sacking of the union minister. CPIM leader Sitaram Yechuri also joined ranks with Azad.
पूरे प्रोजेक्ट को NPA कर दिया, नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट, और जब NPA 2007 में किया, उसके बाद वो लोन कैसे ले सकते हैं बराबर? उसके बाद भी लोन लेते रहे। इलेक्शन आने वाले हैं, इनको हटा दिया जाए। लिहाजा हमारी पार्टी बिल्कुल इस जवाब से संतुष्ट नहीं है।
Whoever be the government, that there should be a proper inquiry, the guilt should be established and action to be taken. Okay. And until then a person should not occupy the office so that he can influence the corruption.
Refuting opposition's charges, MOS Parliamentary Affairs Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi praised Gadkari and slammed Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency.
तो भैया आपको मोबिलाइज करने के लिए हम जो है वो इस्तीफा नहीं देने वाले, ना हम सरकार चला रहे, जनादेश थे और भ्रष्टाचार के मुद्दे पर हमारा स्पष्ट मुद्दा मानना है कि उसके प्रति जीरो टॉलरेंस है। पूर्ति कारखाने के में जिस व्यक्ति का कोई 2001 को जिन्होंने इस्तीफा दे दिया, कोई मतलब नहीं, जिसका जवाब इरेडा को देना है, गडकरी जी को देना नहीं है।
As the Congress members refused to relent, the House was adjourned till noon.
House is adjourned up to 12:00 hours.
The standoff washed away question hour as well as the Congress members demanded Gadkari's dismissal. Even in the post-lunch session, there were little signs of reconciliation as the House witnessed several adjournments and finally got adjourned till the next day.
House is adjourned.
Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Tomorrow, Tuesday, 12th of May 2015.
But amid all the adjournments, the Rajya Sabha did manage to approve amendments to the Land Boundary Agreement Bill. The bill was returned by Lok Sabha to correct an error in the name of the Act. It was already passed by the Rajya Sabha on the 6th of May. Here are more details.
The Rajya Sabha on Monday passed the amended bill to operationalize the Land Boundary Agreement with Bangladesh that entails exchange of enclaves between the two countries. During the passage of the bill in Rajya Sabha last Wednesday, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj moved amendments to rename the Constitution 119th Amendment Act 2013 to Constitution 100th Amendment Act 2015. The change was made in the title of the bill but not in the text of the bill. Tabling the amended bill, Swaraj clarified the reasons that necessitated fresh sanctions from the Rajya Sabha.
मुझे सदन को ये शुभ सूचना देनी है कि ये बांग्लादेश भारत भूमि सीमा समझौते से संबंधित जो संशोधन विधेयक राज्यसभा में निर्विरोध पारित हुआ था, वो लोकसभा से भी सर्वसम्मति से ही पारित हुआ है।
The amended bill was later passed following division by majority of the total membership of the House and by a majority of not less than 2/3 of the members of the House present and voting.
Now, subject to correction, ayes 181, noes nil. The motion is adopted by a majority of the total membership of the House and by a majority of not less than 2/3 of the members of the House present and voting. The bill, as amended by the amendments agreed to, is passed by the required majority.
The bill to operationalize the agreement with Bangladesh includes exchange of territories in Assam, West Bengal, Tripura and Meghalaya. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the Lok Sabha cleared the black money bill today. The bill provides for penalty and tax up to 120% and also criminal prosecution for those who have parked black money abroad. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley moved for passing the Undisclosed Foreign Income and Assets Imposition of Tax Bill 2015 in the House. He rejected the opposition demand to refer it to a standing committee. Jaitley said that delay in enacting the law will help offenders transfer unaccounted overseas wealth to unknown destinations. Jaitley also said there would be a compliance window that will allow people to declare assets and pay 30% tax along with a 30% penalty.
United States is requesting other states to enter into a treaty obligation, and there will be a bilateral automatic exchange. The second stage will be countries which enter into the FATCA arrangement with the US. Inter-se will also have the same arrangement. And those countries which don't enter into this arrangement, there will be a withholding tax on all remittances going into those countries.
The Indian professionals who are working abroad and have stayed there for last 8 years, and all the NRI community who, if come back, where he says if and the NRI comes back, he has to provide a proper money trail of all the assets that he has acquired over so many years abroad. And if the money, the paper trail is not properly verified by the tax authorities, imagine what will happen to that NRI.
This bill does not make any provision for bringing back the black money from the foreign countries to this country itself.
It is important that the law remains tough on tax offenders. In its present form, it prescribes action against offenders, but it is necessary to identify the offenders first. This has to be done by the government by other means.
Home Minister Rajnath Singh today made a statement on the controversy triggered by his ministry on Dawood Ibrahim. Singh said that India had credible information that the underworld don was very much in Pakistan and the Indian government would bring him back no matter what. However, Pakistan High Commissioner to India, Abdul Basit, refuted Rajnath's claim, insisting that Dawood Ibrahim was not living in Pakistan.
After much flip-flop, the government confirmed on Monday that India's most wanted fugitive, Dawood Ibrahim, is in Pakistan.
अध्यक्ष महोदय, दाऊद इब्राहिम के पाकिस्तानी पासपोर्टों और पाकिस्तान में उसके कथित पतों सहित उससे संबंधित अन्य ब्यौरा समय समय पर पाकिस्तान को इस अनुरोध के साथ मुहैया कराया जाता रहा है कि वे उसका पता लगाएं और उसे भारत को सौंप दें.
Singh's statement came after the government spoke in contradictory voices on whereabouts of Ibrahim. Last week, Interior Minister Haribhai Partibhai Chaudhary told Parliament that the government had no idea about Dawood's whereabouts.
भारत पाकिस्तान पर अपनी अंतर्राष्ट्रीय बाध्यताओं, इंटरनेशनल ऑब्लिगेशंस को पूरा करने, दाऊद इब्राहिम तथा अन्य आतंकवादियों का पता लगाने और उन्हें भारत को सौंपे जाने के बारे में सभी स्तरों पर लगातार दबाव बनाए रखे हुए हैं. और अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं यह भी कहना चाहूंगा विनम्रता के साथ कि पाकिस्तान को चाहे हमें परसू करना हो, चाहे पाकिस्तान पर हमें प्रेशर बिल्डअप करना हो, हम दाऊद को लाकर ही रहेंगे. यह मैं बात विश्वास के साथ कहना चाहता हूं.
Dawood Ibrahim is the chief suspect in Mumbai blasts in 1993. Minister of State Kiran Rijiju accused Pakistani agencies of not cooperating with the Indian government while clarifying that Dawood was in Pakistan. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
We've had a quick break here, but still ahead. EU assures migrants they won't be sent back against their will. Details ahead.
Aam Aadmi Party, once tagged a media creation, now waging a running battle against it. The AAP media relationship. What went wrong? Watch the big picture at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. Let's get to some more national news. And despite widespread criticism on Delhi government's circular threatening the media with legal action if it printed or aired defamatory news, Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal continues with his attack on the media. The Chief Minister has now advocated supporting a separate media house. Here's more.
After the Delhi government circular threatening action against the media for defamatory news, Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal followed it up with more controversy, claiming he did not care about the media and that he would support any journalist for establishing what he called an independent and unbiased media organization.
अगर मीडिया के अंदर काम करने वाले कुछ बड़े लोग साथ मिलके अपना नया टीवी चैनल या अखबार शुरू करें तो मैं ये कह सकता हूं कि दिल्ली सरकार उनकी पूरी मदद करने के लिए तैयार है.
Meanwhile, Kejriwal's diktat in an attempt to rein in the media from publishing or broadcasting any news item critical of the Delhi government led all opposition parties unite against him.
खुद ही डिफॉर्मेशन में इसके खिलाफ गए हैं, ऑलरेडी कोर्ट में गए हैं वो, लेकिन अभी जो स्थिति है, चूंकि आप कोई प्रशासन नहीं कर रहे, आप खुद गवर्नेंस नहीं कर रहे, आपके तमाम एमएलएस और आपकी कार्यप्रणाली पर सवाल उठा रहे हैं, आप तमाम तरह के प्राइवेट लोगों को मोटे पैकेजेस दे करके सरकार में घुसा रहे हैं। इन सब चीजों पर पर्दा डालने के लिए, चूंकि मीडिया इन सब चीजों को उजागर करता है, पर्दा डालने के लिए आपने अघोषित इमरजेंसी जैसा काम इस देश में मीडिया को दबाने का और मीडिया को धमकाने का किया है।
को माफी मांगना चाहिए लोगों से, जनता से, मीडिया से, उनको माफी मांगना चाहिए कि उन्होंने क्यों एक इस तरह के सर्कुलर निकाले, एंड सेकेंडली एक के बाद एक वो इस तरह की एक इर्रेस्पॉन्सिबल स्टेटमेंट्स दिए जा रहे हैं।
Ironically, the Delhi government's stand on defamation is opposite to what Kejriwal advocated in April. Kejriwal had sought the Supreme Court's intervention to decriminalize the defamation law. Anu Diwan, Rajya Sabha TV.
In other news, banker KV Kamath has been appointed as the head of the new development bank set up by the BRICS group of emerging economies, Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. India will preside over the bank's operations for the first 6 years, followed by a 5-year term for Brazil and Russia. Kamath will have a 5-year term at the BRICS Bank that is likely to be operationalized within 1 year. 67-year-old Kamath retired as the managing director and chief executive of ICICI Bank in April 2009 and has also spent several years in Southeast Asia working with the Asian Development Bank. He was also conferred the Padma Bhushan in 2008. With that, let's give you some more quick national news updates. Hyderabad Sessions Court has granted bail and suspended the 7-year rigorous imprisonment of Satyam founder Ramalinga Raju along with 9 others in the multi-crore Satyam scam. Raju has been asked to pay 10% of the fine imposed by a special court within 2 weeks of their release from jail. This, however, is only an interim relief as the Sessions Court will continue hearing his petition challenging the order of the lower court. 2 CRPF personnel, including an officer, were killed in a militant attack in Sangam area of Anantnag district in Jammu and Kashmir and the Jammu-Srinagar highway. Militants attacked the personnel at Hatmula area around 40 kilometers from Srinagar. Security forces have cordoned off the area and launched an operation to track down the militants. Meanwhile, 21 people were killed and at least 30 injured when, and in fact 6 of them critically, when a bus they were travelling in rolled down into a deep gorge in Udhampur district of Jammu and Kashmir on Monday. The passenger bus, which was on its way from Latti Belt, skidded off the road and rolled down into the gorge. The number of casualties is expected to increase. After a sharp drubbing last week, markets ended on a positive note today. Sensex gained over 400 points, while Nifty was trading firmly above 8,300 levels. This is the second straight day of gains for the market, but they are expected to be volatile in the week ahead. The Delhi police has dismissed a traffic constable after he was caught on camera attacking a woman with a brick. The incident took place this morning at the capital's elite golf links area. The woman allegedly got into an argument with the constable after refusing to pay a fine for breaking a traffic rule. With a quick break here, we'll be back with more news in just a bit.
Aam Aadmi Party, once tagged a media creation, now waging a running battle against it. The AAP media relationship. What went wrong? Watch the big picture at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
जिस तरीके की प्राकृतिक आपदा आई, भारत हो या दुनिया के सभी देशों में सभी लोग आहत नजर आए। फिलहाल इस वक्त किस तरह के हालात हैं वहाँ पर? अब
यहाँ के पार्लियामेंट में नेपाल में जो विपदाएं हुई, नेपाल के जैसे यानी दुख विपद में यहाँ की संसद ने सर्वसम्मत से प्रस्ताव पास करके कम से कम टोकन गेस्चर ये दिखाया कि हम अपने 1 महीने के पारिश्रमिक सब देंगे। इस प्रति देखिए हम बहुत बड़ा आभार प्रकट करना चाहेंगे।
देखिए तरकश सिर्फ राज्य सभा टीवी पर।
Welcome back. Now, Australia has joined Britain in moving to tackle global companies that evade tax, especially by shifting profits to more relaxed regimes like Singapore and Switzerland. However, rather than attempting to replicate the UK's diverted profits crackdown, Australia is all set to strengthen its anti-avoidance laws. Companies that fail to pay tax on their Australian profits could be forced to pay back double what is owed, plus interest. Here's more.
The Abbott government in Australia will crack down on tax-evading MNCs who shift profits offshore to minimize taxes. It has 30 companies in its sights. The announcement came a day ahead of the country's 2015-16 budget publication.
These companies are diverting profits earned in Australia away from Australia to no tax or low tax jurisdictions.
The big firms, including Google, Apple and Microsoft, all are accused of moving their profits to countries with lower rates of tax, a charge that they deny. Last month, the country's parliamentarians grilled many of these giants at an upper house Senate hearing on their tax structures. The companies could be fined up to 100% of the amount of tax deemed to be avoided. The laws, which must first pass Parliament, would come into effect on 1st of January next year.
But if they've got a structure, given the size and scale of the fines, which are very significant, as soon as they start to restructure, then you would expect they'd start to pay tax in Australia.
The developments in Australia come amid increased efforts by governments around the world to crack down on global firms that use complex corporate structures to lower their tax bills. Under Australia's leadership last year, the group of 20 leading economies, or G20, endorsed a set of common standards for sharing bank account information across borders with automatic exchange of information among members. Australia says the proposed legislation also drew considerable interest and that its success would help other countries replicate it. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, as the Mediterranean migrant crisis issue rages on, the European Union today assured that no migrant will be sent back against their will. The European Commission said it will make a fresh proposal to EU member nations to take refugees under a quota scheme. Quotas will be determined under numerous factors, including a country's population, economic indicators, and the number of asylum seekers. The European Commission will also propose to organize legal frameworks for migrants to come to Europe so they don't end up in the hands of traffickers. However, these proposals could be agreed by the EU member states for it to become a rule. European leaders will discuss the proposals at a summit by the end of June. Meanwhile, the EU Foreign Policy Chief has appealed to the UN Security Council to permit use of force against traffickers operating out of Libya. Meanwhile, thousands of refugees landed in Malaysia and Indonesia over the past 2 days. The refugees are Rohingya Muslims from Burma and Bangladesh. In fact, authorities say that they were apparently abandoned by human traffickers after a widespread crackdown by Malaysia.
Thousands of migrants were rescued from boats off Indonesia's North Aceh coast. Most of the refugees were from Bangladesh and Burma. The overcrowded boats carrying women and children had run out of fuel and were towed to shore by fishermen.
Sekarang kita sampai Aceh. Sekarang kita masuk ke Aceh. Sekarang kita senang Aceh.
Kenapa senang?
Senang sini orang tolong bagi makanan. Bagi itu ada obat-obat. Wah, sekali kita senang.
Indonesian officials believed the refugees had been in sea for nearly a week. They were apparently left out by human traffickers. International Organization for Migration said they were trying to reach Malaysia.
Satu boat ada 200 orang, tapi kita jemput semua 3 boat. Orang semuanya. Semua sini ada 500 lebih.
Migration authorities informed that there has been a huge influx of refugees from Bangladesh and Myanmar to Malaysia and Indonesia in the past few weeks, as Thailand announced a crackdown on human trafficking. Thailand is usually the initial destination for smugglers. Over 100 refugees were found wandering around in southern Thailand last week, apparently after they were abandoned by smugglers. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Despite a peace deal, tensions continue to flare in Macedonia, with armed groups fighting the police. 8 officers and 14 gunmen were killed in the fighting. Authorities accuse Kosovans of trying to destabilize the country. The European Union as well as the NATO has urged restraint.
The northern Macedonian city of Kumanovo remains under lockdown.
following deadly clashes between police and an armed group last night. Residents were seen fleeing the area with all they could gather after explosions rocked the town.
Gjithë popullata ka qenë e përgatitur për atë. Mirë, po në këtë rast është e kundërta. Popullata në fshatrat tona bili kujdestari ka bë mos të infiltrohet dikush nga jashtë në mesin e tyre.
Se në vetëm që dim na që janë popullata ngujuar aty, kanë me pa bok, pa rrym, pa ushqim, pa kurrë, cilën as me dal. Po mundohemi me marrë kontakt me të ndërkombëtar.
Firings and explosion could be heard hours after the police launched an operation to contain violence believed to be ignited by Kosovans. At least 8 police officers and 14 gunmen were killed in the fighting, with many more suffering grave injuries. But the Interior Ministry claims the operation has now ended and the group has been successfully neutralized. The crackdown on the group has only heightened fears of instability in the nation after months of ongoing political crisis. The government and the opposition are already at loggerheads over alleged abuse of office and illegal wiretappings by the government. Observers fear political leaders on either side may try to stoke ethnic tensions as leverage. There have been calls to exercise restraint and avoid further escalation both from the NATO and the European Commission. There have been previous incidents of violence by the ethnic Albanians from Kosovo as recent as last month. The rebels are demanding greater rights for the minority and the creation of an Albanian state within Macedonia. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now for the international stories, let's get you Global Buzz. Britain's Prime Minister David Cameron today unveiled the country's first Conservatives-only cabinet in 18 years. He completed the reshuffle of senior ministers and new appointments today, with a number of leading female ministers being handed big promotions. Indian origin Priti Patel has been appointed as Employment Minister. A Swedish court rejected an appeal by WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange against his arrest warrant for alleged sex offences issued in 2010 on 2 allegations. Swedish investigators are now likely to proceed with plans to travel to London to question Assange. Investigators are continuing their work at the site where a military transport plane, Airbus A400M, crashed on Saturday. The plane crashed during a test flight, killing 4 members of the Spanish crew and left 2 injured. Spanish authorities recovered 2 black boxes. Following the crash, Britain, Germany and Turkey have grounded their fleet of similar aircraft. The Greek government is urging Eurozone ministers to recognize progress made in talks on the eve of major debt repayment to the IMF. Eurozone finance ministers are meeting in Brussels today to continue negotiations on a deal to release a portion of billions of bailout funds. Ministers in Athens said they will honor the €750 million loan by the IMF due on Tuesday. And finally, let's get you all the action from the world of sports. Andy Murray stunned home favourite Rafael Nadal in straight sets to win the Madrid Masters. Defending champion Nadal was aiming for a record 5th win in Madrid, but was outclassed by Murray 6-3, 6-2. This was Murray's first win over Nadal on clay in 7 meetings. Double Olympic gold medalist long-distance runner Hailey Gebrselassie has announced his retirement today. The 42-year-old Ethiopian athlete confirmed his decision after finishing 16th in the Great Manchester Run. His manager has, however, denied the news, saying that the legendary world champion will keep on running. Hailey has 8 World Championship victories and 27 world records to his name. American Ricky Fowler beat Sergio Garcia and Kevin Kisner in a playoff in a dramatic final day at the Players' Championship. The trio finished on 12 under, but Fowler beat Kisner at the first sudden death hole after Garcia was earlier eliminated. It was his second PGA Tour win. Liverpool's faint hopes of Champions League qualification ended after they drew with Chelsea 1-1. John Terry's header put the champions into the lead, but Steven Gerrard equalised on the stroke of half-time. However, a spirited Liverpool failed to find a winner. With only 2 games remaining, Liverpool are 6 points behind 4th place Manchester United. Well, that's it on the news tonight. But before we wrap up, here are some images of tourists in the US's Yellowstone National Park being chased by a bear family.
against hunger.